Hey, this next segment right here, the Dunlop due diligence. On two occasions, Chase Sexton spoke about his motorcycle and that Red Bull KTM, and he's been saying, about how they need to continue to get better and that they're not where they need to be, and then then they keep testing, they're making improvements, but they're not where he wants to be. That's for sure. He's been pretty outspoken. Well, I feel like the tops came off the kettle this week. The reason, I think, because I think he was more outspoken, and we got our Dunlop due diligence section of the week is about Chase and his ongoing struggles with the machine. So roll the tape and see what he says. He's talking to Will Christian.
Where are you at with the bike, and is that a big part of it, or is this kind of come down to you personally in a sort of mental side of things?
It's a little bit of both. I still don't have, I don't know if I don't have the speed or the spark that I had last year yet. It's coming back, trying to get better every week. I had a pretty gnarly off season, just not being able to do a lot of motos, and I'm really I wish I was like where I'm at now before the season started, but it is what it is, and better late than never. So obviously, we're not where we want to be as far as winning races, but I feel like we're starting to kind of climb back towards the top. And tonight was a good telltale where I'm heading. And my starts, like I said, I need a lot of work on my starts. But other than that, my riding was pretty good tonight. A lot more than I thought it was going to be. I think I didn't really take into account the aluminum frame to steel frame. It's a big difference, and yeah, we're kind of paying the price for that right now. But like I said, we'll get there, and yeah, these are just growing pains and steps that we got to take to get back to the top.
Ooh, well, you go for it. You go first, dude. Go ahead.
Look, I mean, I kind of look at it as also number one. Everybody from KTM to Chase and his team. It's kind of like a rebuilding year, right? Like you leave factory Honda that you've been there for a handful of years, and now you're switching over to a brand new team, brand new bike, and it's actually a completely different platform. From a steel frame or coming from an aluminum frame going to a steel frame. So, I mean, I don't know what he was expecting to just jump on a brand new motorcycle. And, sometimes, I mean, I guess you hope for the best and you think you're making the best decision to improve yourself, but there's a lot of learning curves. You got to learn the team's got to learn you, and also racing. You can't replicate anything he's seen on the weekends during the week. So, that being said, he had a chance to ride, I'm assuming, multiple bikes.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Listen.
Ricky, you said Star Yamaha.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, I heard that he loved the Star Yamaha.
Yep.
Right. I heard that from a pretty reliable source. And I actually busted him in Tallahassee. I saw him in town when he was riding. I was passing he was pulling out of Whole Foods. He was with a sponsor of his. I'm like going by Whole Foods. I'm looking. I saw the sponsor he was with. I'm like, who's in the car? And I'm like, oh crap, that was Chase. And and then I had later heard that the Star facility was closed for a couple days. And anyhow, but I will say, like, then he rode. I mean, you just have to assume he rode the KTM
for sure.
So at that point. And maybe I'm different. Maybe you would have been different. But so I struggle with him saying that the bike isn't what he expected. And, more than anyone, you don't get many cracks at being a Supercross champion. And so you want to eliminate as many throwaway years as possible, or a rebuilding year. I just think it's too short in our industry. Whether you're playing stick and ball, that's different. When there's other people on a team that have, that are actually competing, I just think it's different. So I look back and I'm like, well, what were you expecting? I mean, why did you not base your decision, or did you base your decision off something different other than the bike that you rode when you tested? You knew it was better than your Honda, and I'm going to that manufacturer because this bike is better and it gives me the feel that I need and I'm looking for. Like, that's how I would have based it on. And it sounds to me like he didn't make that decision because of that. Or maybe if he rode the Red Bull KTM and he maybe at the time didn't think it was better. And he's like, well, but it might get better. I just don't think you can base that decision. I don't think you go that route.
Well, here's the thing, Ricky, too. Like, like you said, he did ride the, multiple bikes that started
Yeah.
and everything else.
Yeah.
He obviously made that decision based on the bike being pretty damn good, and then maybe his surroundings of a team, having Roger, having Ian, having these guys that are past, that have won multiple championships with yourself and multiple riders.
Yep.
You got to think everything's coming together for the better. But I also look, like I said, it's kind of a rebuilding year, right? Like yes, should he be up front? Should he be winning races? I think he should be. But I also don't know what he expected to, just leave Honda and then go to KTM and expect to be right back in the mix. I think he's in the mix. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. Has he rode to his potential this year? No, I don't think so. But I also think that, like Will asked him, is it the bike or is it the mental side? I think part of that's the mental side too. Him trying to almost talk himself into that this bike is capable of doing it. I know it's capable of winning races. We've seen it already. Coop's won championships on it. AP's won, a race this year on it. I think they're making good strides. Ultimately, I do think it comes down to Chase just needing to be quicker and ride better and put himself in better positions, because I know the bike's capable.
I just go back. Like, I remember when I had an opportunity to ride the Honda before I left Cowie. I'm like, if I didn't get on that motorcycle, and I knew, and I was kind of in a similar situation because the Honda that I rode was a 2001. The 2000, they didn't have the 2002 chassis ready yet. And they told me it's going to be substantially different. I'm like, okay, well, if it's not better, can I still ride this bike? And they're like, yes, but we do think that this one, the O2 model, is going to be better, because what you're feeling here, the O2 chassis has improved in this area. I'm like, okay, but if I don't like it, I still got this, right? They're like, yeah, for sure. I'm like, okay, because when I rode the Honda, it was immediately better. It was better where I wanted it to be better. And I'm like, okay, I know I can win on this. I know I can win on this. It feels better in the areas where the Cowie I knew needed an improvement, but I knew in 2002 we weren't going to be on anything new. So I needed to be on something better, because I just thought that MC was going to be that much better in 02. So like, I just was guarding on the side of, okay, well, what if the O2 model isn't better? And it was better. So I didn't get to 02 and be like, well, it's a rebuilding year, we're going to get better. It needed to be better before we got to the season. So I'm like, dude, I'm flabbergasted. And then he talked about the chassis. I go back to when he rode the chassis. Like, you came from an aluminum, you went to the KTM, you rode that, and then you rode the Star bike. So I would love to know what was the difference from, why was it good when you tested the KTM last year at this
Or
time?
what was his ultimate decision to pick KTM over the Star Racing? Was it money? Was it value? Was it the team that surrounded him? Was it a smaller team versus having as many riders that Star has? We don't obviously know any of that, but look, he sowed his seed, and that's where he ended up. He picked that, so he needs to ride it and he needs to win on it. That's kind of the way I look at it. The bike's capable. Yes. Are they struggling with things? Probably, but there's a lot of dudes struggling with things out there, and that's where you can see the difference between a champion and somebody that is maybe race winners and doesn't knock down multiple championships or multiple race wins in a year. Is figuring out how to make yourself better, and if not, relying on the strengths where that KTM is good. Back to when Kawasaki, my Kawasaki was really good in a few spots and it struggled in other spots, and I had to be the same as Dunge in those other spots where I struggled, but quicker in the other spots where the bike was good. And that's what you need. That's what you have to do.
Yeah. There you go. That's the Dunlop due diligence. Dunlop, we appreciate you guys. Best tire in the business. Speaking of Dunlop, these boys are going to have some serious decisions to make, whether they go paddle, whether they don't go paddle. Before we land the plane on Chase Sexton, go listen to his interview that he does with Lewis Phillips at Vital. I mean, he doo-dooed, in my opinion, in the nicest way possible on his bike. I mean, he lets it rip. And you can see his displeasure. And one line that he says is like, they need a really tall ladder to dig themselves out of the hole that they are in. Just go listen to it. Y'all listen to it yourself. Lewis was even sounded surprised
Mhm.
when Chase was telling him these things. So I don't know. Maybe Chase is trying to light a fire under the team, but I'm with you. He planted the seeds, dude, and he's stuck. He is stuck, and what you got is what you got.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
you know
and
what?
you
At
just
the
have
end
to
of the day,
work through it
it
and work
was
around it and make yourself better.
at the end of the day, um, you know what? He he's got what he's got, and he's got to figure it out. That's the bottom line. And he made the decision.
Yep.
And if he was influenced by someone in his inner group, then that's on him. Because at the end of the day, I know you would have made your own decision on that. Yeah, you would have listened, but before you put pen to paper, you're going to make the final straw. And it's funny because Richie Lane is saying, yeah, there's speculation about him already leaving and maybe going to Star in 26. So that'd be funny. That's
Yeah, I don't
crazy.
know. We'll see. I think that I do think he's in a good position. I don't think he needs to be. Yeah, be hard on yourself to improve, but he is right there. I mean, find a couple little steps, couple little
Yeah, I mean,
things.
he is. He is.
Like it's not like we're talking. We're running around. He's went from winning some races and being in a championship fight and winning a championship last year, and he's running around in 10th. He's not far off.
No.
So put pen to paper and go to work.
We have to bring it up because we kind of been talking about it. Like,
Yep.
he's still in the title hunt. He's still in the title hunt, and I think it's over at this point.
Yep.
I think, like, for the championship, unless something gnarly happens and he gets on a win and turns things around. But yeah, really just
Kind of
nothing.
flat, I guess, like flat. I look at it
Yeah,
as
flat,
flat.
flat,
And part of that is look, I mentioned on the show, and I had multiple opinions prior, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Tomac, as Tomac was a topic, and now he's a topic this week on the show. Look, I'm gonna go out on a limb and chalk it up as just that time on the couch, a major injury like that, 3 kids at home. Maybe he's just not as sharp as he used to be. Not that he won't find a good track through in these next 7 races and pull off a win, but he is out of it mathematically, essentially, like out of the championship. Something major could happen, but ultimately for him, he's got to be looking for race wins. And if not, look, I see on Vital, like Tomac's never going to win another race. And if he doesn't, that's okay. I mean,
Yeah, that's fine.
you guys would complain if he would have just wrapped it up after his Achilles tendon. It's like, oh, he should have came back. He should have gave it one more try. We would have been talking about that. Now it's like, oh, he's washed up. He's over. It might be his time. So we're going to find out what his decision is at the end of the year. If he keeps going, great. If he doesn't, then, chop it on the top and give him a good job.
Yeah, that should be interesting to see what he does, and maybe he thinks that he can go another year, and maybe he can recover from that time off. I think if he's thinking that, because I can't see Eli going to race and just collecting a paycheck, and you know how Kenny's approach is, like, he's just happy to get on the podium. He knows how hard it is to do that these days with how tough the field is. And like, it's almost like Kenny is okay with not winning championships. I'm not saying that it is. I'm saying that it sounds like that. I don't know if Eli is that kind of competitor. I feel like he's a championship only guy, and maybe he has more confidence in him. He's got more confidence in himself than some of us do with him and possibly winning another championship. And maybe he thinks, dude, let me get through this season. Let me have a standard off season of training,
Yep.
preparation, and I can improve, and just give me another crack at it. I mean, what do you?
That very well could be true, RC. But the other thing is too is like, I will say that, and taking nothing away from Kenny, because I'm a fan of Kenny big time. I love his riding style, love what he's been able to accomplish on the Suzuki team, and getting them their first win last year and being in a position that he's in this year. But there is a mentality difference between maybe somebody like Cooper and Kenny, Eli. Eli and Kenny is, coming off of being so dominant and having so many race wins and also championships. It is hard to swallow maybe being in this position. So no, I don't think that Eli will continue riding where, call it riding around where he's at and getting these finishes. I think that unless, like you said, he sits back afterwards and says, hey, I want to have a normal off season without an injury, come back swinging, then that's one thing. But, I think that everybody needs to give the guy a little bit of slack. And hey, if this is his last hurrah, then you better soak it up, because you're not going to see him out there anymore here soon if he decides that.
Yep. And at the end of the day, he is, he deserves to he deserves due process, and let the man figure out exactly what he wants to do, make a good decision, one that just isn't made up in short time. I would have to guess that he is maybe in a little less power play position with Monster Energy Star Yamaha race team, and they may not give him that time that they once would have, just given his results. I know it sucks, but dude, that's business. That's how it goes. And, they have to protect their future as well. And I'm sure that they will have other options.
Hi, folks. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.